Good afternoon, everyone. We're having some technical difficulties here at Discovery World, and as a result, we are going to try and move forward with our program, and it may be a little more condensed. So I apologize for the fact that we were having some technical issues. Sometimes the technology works for us, sometimes it works against us. So thank you for your patience while we were bringing it back online, and thank you for sticking with us. So again, I am Bryan Wunar. I am the president and CEO here at Discovery World, and we're so happy to have all of you joining us for our first of what we hope will be several town hall meetings. And today we wanted to spend a little bit of time taking a look at some of the plans we have for 2023 and forward. We're taking a new strategic direction, we're launching a new brand, and it's a very exciting time here at Discovery World, and we want to make sure that we're sharing that with all of the members of our community. Now, before we talk about the look forward, we thought it was important to share a little bit about where we ended 2022. We've all gone through a very difficult time through the COVID-19 pandemic. And as many of you know, we were closed during a great portion of 2020 and 2021. But 2022 allowed us to bring guests into the building on a regular basis. Even though we were only open 5 days per week, we'd set an attendance goal for our public visitors of 145,000. And as of the end of December, we exceeded that goal, and we were able to serve over 160,000 guests. So that gave us a lot of confidence about what it is that we might be able to do as we go forward. In addition to admissions, membership plays a really big role in the relationship that we have with our audience. And we'd set a goal of 7,500 members for 2022. And we ended the year with over 7,700 members. And so for any of you who are members, thank you so much for your support. And for those of you who are not members, I would encourage you to consider becoming a member and being an active part of our community. Now, when we think about programming, in prior years, we had very limited opportunities to offer summer camps during the pandemic. But in 2022, we were offering summer camp programs at a level that we were not able to even accommodate before. We served over 1,500 children and youth through our summer camp programs. And this makes Discovery World Summer Camp one of the largest science summer camps held at any museum across the country. So that is an example of the kind of work that we can do. And now that we know that a lot of those restrictions are behind us, we've spent a great deal of time and effort getting ready to take a look forward and think about the kinds of experiences that we can provide and thinking about how we can expand our audience. So, as I mentioned before, we're taking a new direction, and a lot of our work has led to the development of a new strategic framework for Discovery World. And this strategic framework becomes the guide for what we will be doing over the next several years. As part of that process, we wanted to make sure that we refined our mission. So it was very clear internally and externally what our mission statement was and what we exist for. And so as we go forward, we are following the guidance of this mission to inspire generations to discover the wonders of science. And for those of you who've had relationships with us here at Discovery World, hopefully that resonates with you. And you can see that that has been a part of the work that we have always done here at Discovery World. Now, as part of this process, we thought it was important to be aspirational and really look forward into the future. And we developed this new vision statement where we imagine a world where every child is empowered to be curious and explore endlessly. We think it's really important that every child has access to high quality educational resources and that we can become part of the support system for the greater Milwaukee area. Now, as we did this work to reconceptualize Discovery World, we also looked at what are our core concepts? What are those content areas that are really at the focus of all of the work that we do? And so the first one is related to you. As we were working through the pandemic, we realized that there's never been a greater time for people to be utilizing science to better understand the personal choices they make, their implication for their own overall health and well-being, as well as that of their community. And so we're placing a new focus over the next several years on health and medical sciences. A second area is an area that has been a long time portion of the work we've done at Discovery World. And we'll be focusing on your lake, the role that water plays in our community, the impact our lake has on us and we have on it. Those are all areas that will be very important for us to explore. And whether that's through exhibits or programs or events, this will be a consistent area for us, and we're hoping that you'll join us as we launch a number of new initiatives around the Great Lakes. And then our third and final core concept is related to your world. Science, technology, engineering, those have always been a part of Discovery World. And we want to make sure that everyone that we encounter is able to think about how they can put science to practice through engineering and technology, and to consider how things work throughout our world and the role that science plays in our everyday lives. So as you encounter Discovery World, whether it's here on site at the museum, in the community, in schools, at home, online, these are all the areas that we will be emphasizing over the next several years as part of the experience that we can provide for all of our audiences. Now, as part of this effort, we have put a focus on 5 new priorities. The first 2 are related to our audiences. And one of the things that we've discovered over time is that while we've placed very much a focus on school-age youth, particularly late elementary and middle grade students, that families who come, we might serve their 12-year-old or their 9-year-old very well, but the 5-year-old might also be tagging along, and we have not always put a focus on serving the needs of those early learners. And so in order to ensure that we can start every child early on their learning process, we're going to put an emphasis on scaling our audience even further down to address the needs of early science learners. This means working directly with those children, but also to make sure that we're working with parents, caregivers, and early childhood educators to make sure that they are equipped to play an active role in bringing science to life for those naturally curious scientists that we all encounter before they enter school. The next priority is related to broadening participation in all of our STEM areas. We think it is very important that we focus on diversity, equity, access, and inclusion, and that we can do a better job of reaching those communities who've been historically excluded from science experiences. This is something that will not just entail opening our doors, because as we've seen, if we open our doors, it doesn't mean that everyone comes. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, those are areas that oftentimes can be intimidating, and many people have been left out of that process. Museums can often be threatening, and we know that part of what we're going to have to do is step outside of our footprint into the community, develop partnerships with community-based organizations and schools, and think about how we need to change what we do to better meet the needs of a much broader audience. And ultimately, in doing that, we can address many of the needs right here in Milwaukee, and that hopefully all of our communities will see Discovery World as their place for science experiences. Now, the third priority is focused on our guest experience. Many of you, when you think of Discovery World, you probably think about things like our interactive exhibitions. Well, we have been thinking about what it's going to take to develop new exhibits and what it will take to implement new programming and new events so that whenever you encounter us, while you might visit some of your favorites, that there will always be something changing. There's always something new to discover when you're on site here at Discovery World or when you encounter us out in the community. So we're thinking about everything from new long-term exhibits to designing a new changing gallery where we can take on special topics, we can explore temporary exhibits, we can bring in traveling exhibits, and this will give us a lot of flexibility and a platform to make sure that we're always refreshing our content. The fourth area is our focus on education. Well, many of you may have encountered our educational work up to this point, whether it's been through our schools or whether it's been our summer camps, as I mentioned at the beginning, or even some of our online resources, particularly throughout the pandemic when children were having to learn at home. We know that we have a strong educational presence, and our goal is to really expand that into a very comprehensive model for education. But we know that it's not enough just to have strong programs, but also we want to make sure that we are taking that platform and that we're advocating for changes. And we know that a lot of that happens at the state level. We think that we can be a positive influence for the quality of science teaching and learning across the state of Wisconsin, across the region, and even at a national level. So as we advance our educational agenda, we want to make sure that we can provide the resources that are necessary to ensure that every child has access to a high quality education. And then finally, our fifth priority is related to visibility, sustainability. We want to make sure that everyone knows that Discovery World can be your place for fun science learning. We don't want to be the best kept secret in Milwaukee. Instead, we want to make sure that everywhere we turn, you are encountering not only our organization, but you're getting the opportunity to think like a scientist, to put things to practice the same way that engineers would. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're out in the community, we're out in the world. We also know that it was a chance to establish our place in the community. And in order to do that, we had to make sure that we were thinking about how we can update the perception that people have about Discovery World and about science. And so through that effort, we have put together a lot of new resources that change the way people will encounter Discovery World and position us in a different way as that fun place for science learning. So what I'd like you to do is imagine a world where every child does have access to being curious, to the resources that are necessary, and that will encourage them to explore endlessly. And so what I'd like to do is introduce our new brand through this following video. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. And we think it captures the feel that we're going for and that you start to see a little bit about the new look of things here at Discovery World. That rebranding effort is something that we've put a lot of emphasis in. And if you've not been to Discovery World, the moment you walk through our front door, the moment you pull into our parking garage, or even as you take a look at our brand new website, this is just the beginning of what we're doing to reposition Discovery World as that fun place where you can explore your world. Now, I want to make sure that there's an opportunity for us to address some questions. And I see that there are some people who've submitted those online. And for any of you who do have questions, please continue to submit those. But I guess at this point, I will take the first question. And the first one is, how is this strategic plan setting Discovery World up for success? Okay, well, I think what this plan does is it gives our entire organization a common focus, both in terms of the content we explore and the areas where we're going to invest to make the biggest impact on our audience through all of the experiences that we develop. I think there have been times in the past where, like so many nonprofits, we may have been very scattered. We tried to do a lot of many different things. And I think by putting that focus on the areas where we think we can make the greatest difference, that will allow us to really go deeper, to offer more experiences, to reach more people, and go beyond just where we've been in the past, and to make a difference, not just for the people who walk through our front door, but to make sure that we're reaching a much broader audience and we play a different role in our community. So I see we have a second question. What are some of the changes guests can expect when they experience Discovery World? Well, there are a lot of changes that have been implemented just over the past several weeks. As I mentioned before, we placed this first phase an emphasis on all of the ways that our guests have their initial encounter. So we have redeveloped our website. Oftentimes, many of our guests will spend time on our website before they ever physically encounter us. So if you check out our website at discoveryworld.org, you'll see all of the new resources that are available to you, and that will become an online venue that will just continue to grow and develop over time. For those of you who might be coming to visit Discovery World, the moment you start to approach our building, you're going to start to see the new look and feel. We have some of that playing out outside the building. Even as you enter our parking garage, you start your experience the moment that you arrive. As you come up through our elevators or through the front door, we have an entire new admissions area. Our staff will be wearing new branded apparel. We also have a new selfie station that has been a way for us to ensure that all of our guests can share their experience through whatever social media outlets that they are participating in. All of those experiences make sure that we set the stage for a great day at Discovery World. But that is only the beginning. And as we go further into the year, we'll move into a second phase, and that will also give us a chance to have some dramatic changes that all of our guests will experience. All right, well, a third question, I guess that sounds like it's related. So thank you for paying attention to the question before. What's in phase two? Well, phase two, while I don't want to give all of it away today, I want to keep some of it as a surprise. This is going to be everything from some building modifications. So we're known right now for our architecture here on the lakefront, and you should expect to see some changes to that coming soon. At the same time, we're going to be offering a lot of new experiences when you arrive. So our event programming will be expanding, and we're well underway in terms of the development of new exhibit concepts, so that over not just later in this year, but over the next several years, you'll see a number of new exhibits coming online. A question about exhibits. So I guess let me follow up. I mentioned a few of our core concepts. We're going to be developing initially 2 core exhibits that will be available on a long-term basis. One uses the working title of The Life of Water, and it will explore freshwater. And then one is using the working title of Mind, Body, Me, and will explore the relationship between mental health and physical health, the choices we make, and how everyone can achieve their full potential. We're also looking at developing a physical space related to early science learning, as well as a changing gallery. So there will be a lot of exhibit opportunities coming forward. And then the next question, what are the plans for the solar and wind generators? Well, if you have been down to the building, you'll see that the wind turbines that were out front of the building, those have actually come down. And we're in the process right now. We've installed solar panels on the roof atop of 2 of our buildings. And we're working with We Energies to become part of the green energy infrastructure. Later this year, when those become active, this will give us a chance to use those solar panels to contribute to the overall power grid. And it'll allow us to bring in some exhibits and experiences both outside, inside that will help us all understand what we can do to conserve energy and to think about alternative energy sources. All right, well, it looks like we're coming up on time. So at this point, I think we're going to close out our questions. Our final question is, someone asked, well, what can I do to help? Well, one of the things is come to Discovery World, visit Discovery World. We love it when everyone comes here. We can show you the things that we're doing. Please participate with us. We also hope that you'll share this information with your friends and family. We find that word of mouth is one of the best ways to be able to share what's happening at Discovery World. And then ultimately, if you'd like to formally join us, please consider becoming a member. Now, I know that there were other questions that were submitted, and I'm sorry that we're running short on time. But if you do have questions, we've set up an email address that you'll be able to submit those to. We'll follow up with that address so that you can send any ongoing questions, and we'll do our best to get back to you with answers. I'd like you to keep an eye out for the newsletter for our next town hall that's going to be coming up in February. And again, to see these changes firsthand, I would encourage all of you to come on down and visit Discovery World. Experience these changes right along with us. We think it's a very exciting time here at Discovery World. It's an exciting time here in Milwaukee, and that we hope that you'll be part of this journey with us. So thank you everyone for joining us today for our first town hall meeting. I apologize for some of the technical issues, but I'm glad that everyone was able to hang in there with us. And we'll see you next time, and we'll see you here at Discovery World. Thank you.